Hi, how you doing everybody? It's me, Waddles. So question, do you play on Minecraft, Bedrock, or Java and are looking for a mob farm that is insanely easy to build and efficient? Are you looking for a mob farm that is so easy to use? And maybe, are you looking for a mob farm that will get you tons of drops, including music discs too? If you answered yes to any of those questions, I am the guy for you. Today I'm going to show you how to build my super simple Minecraft mob farm that needs no spawners at all. Let's do this. So today, let's kick things off by taking a look at the materials that you're going to need to get to build this mob farm. Great news, it's all basically just building blocks. In exact amounts at the top of the chest, 2 chests, 9 hoppers, 8 gates, and 36 carpet. You're also going to want to have water buckets on hand and about 3 stacks of trapdoors and a little bit more. 12 staircases and 12 slabs should probably do. Now when it comes to this farm that we're going to be building today, you've got options. You could build more layers or technically you could build less layers. 22 stacks of building blocks about is what you're going to need to build 3 layers of this farm. In my opinion, 3 layers of the farm, that should probably be good for you. It's a nice balance between not needing too many materials and still having really good rates. But you could build more layers if you want to. And of course, one more great thing to have with any mob farm, Java, Bedrock, early game, late game, doesn't matter at all, is a good sword. If you get a sword with looting 3 on it specifically, you'll literally triple your drops. Location. And just like with a creeper farm, just like with a sheep farm, just like with any other farm, it all begins with a location. You can really build this farm in any biome that you want, but ideally, if you can find a big ocean and build it high up above this thing, the rates are just going to be better. Correction, you can't build this in the Mushroom Island biome. No mob spawn there, so don't build that there. Now, ideally, when it comes to the ocean that you're looking for, it doesn't need to be the biggest thing in the world. Like, for example, something like this, that'll give me pretty good rates, but the bigger, the better. If you can't seem to find an ocean anywhere, that's no big deal. Technically speaking, you could just build it really high up in the air and maybe try and light up some of the caves too. That'll work. After you find the location where you'd like to build your farm, it's time to build your farm. Now, real quick, if this tutorial helps you out or if you enjoy it, do me a huge favor and down below the video, there's a like button. It's a funny little blue-looking thumbs up. Or it'll be blue after you tap it. Please consider. To start off our mob farm build today, we're going to find a spot in the middle of the ocean somewhere, then build up from the ocean floor somehow. After you build up from the bottom of the ocean floor, continue building up. Use scaffolding, temporary building blocks, whatever you want. But either way, keep towering, keep building all the way up until you hit about Y250. The base of your mob farm, the platform where you're going to AFK and use this thing, is going to sit at 250. Now for the rest of the tutorial today, I'll be shooting this inside of my redstone tutorial world. Just assume I'm inside of an ocean biome all the way up at 250. After you made it up to that insanely high height, place a chest down, then turn that chest into a double chest. Then right behind that chest, create a 3x3 of hoppers, and while placing those hoppers, make sure they all link to each other. You want all of the drops to be funneled into the chest. After that, place a block on top of the chest, and do that again 18 more times. From the chest, we need to build up 19 blocks straight up into the air, and then we need to do that on every single side of this mob farm as well. Now, great news, in fact, the best news. For a lot of this mob farm today, the building blocks that you're using, it literally doesn't matter at all. You got a lot of extra cobble, then do that. Maybe you have tons of extra planks, that would work too. For the most part today, the building blocks that you're building out of, it doesn't matter at all. Now, once you've built up 19 blocks on every side, go ahead and fill those walls in from the bottom all the way up to the top. I'm building this in creative, but I assume you build it in survival. If you're building it in survival, a great way up and down is scaffolding in the middle of this thing. 19 blocks straight up, fully filled in wall on every single side. Now I have a mob farm that looks something like this. Directly on top of the walls that you just built, facing inward on every side, staircases. After that, it's time to build the bottom water funnel of our mob farm. To set this thing up, from a staircase in the middle, go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks out. Go ahead and do that on every single side, and then after that, connect the corners and fill it in all the way. For the bottom water funnel inside of our farm, we're going to want to have a perfectly square bottom base. This perfectly square bottom base is going to be 11 by 11 blocks. 11 by 11 blocks later, and now we've got a platform that looks like this. In every single corner, to get the water flow just right, build 3 blocks out and fill it in. So you have this diagonal cut. We're not going to put the water in the farm quite yet, but later on, once we do, this will make sure the water flows everywhere just right. Keeping it beautifully symmetrical. After you build that same design in every single corner, move back over to the middle, place a temporary block somewhere near the middle, and then place a fence gate. We're going to put another temporary block in the middle and another fence gate right there. Then we'll move over to the other side and place fence gate, and fence gate. Flip it all the way over to the other side and do it all again. After you've placed all of your fence gates down around this middle ring, go ahead and open every single gate. So just a little bit of building later, and now we have a platform that looks something like this. It's now time to start putting the walls on the bottom part of this platform. To put the walls on this platform, pick a side and build off of the side. These walls, at least for right now, are going to need to be 4 blocks tall, and they're going to need to surround this entire platform everywhere. Now, while you're setting up your walls on the side of this platform here, again, technically speaking, you can use any block that you'd like to in the world, except don't use a block that lets light through. Like, if you're going to use glass on this farm like I'm using here, make sure it's tinted glass and not like black stained glass or something like that. For this mob farm to work, we need to follow Minecraft's mob spawning rules, which is going to mean complete and total darkness, like 100% light level 0 everywhere. But of course, that's only if you care about the aesthetics. If you don't care about the aesthetics at all, then just use plain old cobblestone netherrack combination. And I mean, it'll be terribly ugly, but it will definitely work. 4 blocks up on the wall later, and we now have something that looks like this. What we're going to want to do here is line ourselves up with the middle on one of the sides, then go all the way up to that 4th block and place a building block. After that, place another one on either side, and then 2 more coming out. We're going to basically, inside of this mob farm, have a bunch of small 3x3 platforms. These small 3x3 platforms are eventually going to be surrounded with trapdoors on all of the open sides, if you will. These 3x3 platforms are going to basically allow for mobs to spawn everywhere inside of this farm. There are a couple different customizations that you can make to these platforms to control what mobs spawn and don't spawn, but we'll talk about those later on. Long story short here, even with that 4th block up when you were building the walls, we're going to want to build the 3x3 platforms. These 3x3 platforms are going to be spaced out by 2 blocks. So we're going to have like 3x3 in the corner, skip 2, then 3x3 in the middle, and skip 2, and 3x3, just like that. In the middle, line things up directly perfectly with your dropping hole, and you end up with a layer of platforms that look something like that right there. After you've built 9 3x3 platforms, the next step is trapdoors. You see, trapdoors are going to be the main thing that actually, basically makes this farm work. When you place trapdoors down, the mobs see that as a walkable block, even if you flip the trapdoors open. That means if I was an unsuspecting creeper, I would basically just walk forward and end up falling. Long story short, on every inside edge of your spawning platforms, place a trapdoor and open it up. When messing with the design of this farm, I went ahead and crunched the numbers for you, and that's going to mean 72 trapdoors total per layer. That means if you want to build 5 layers of this farm, then go ahead and do 72 times 5, and voila, that's your number. If you're going to build 3 layers, then it's the number I showed you earlier. And so, 72 trapdoors later, all opened up, we now have something that looks like this. Pick a platform that's on the edge, place a building block, and a building block. After that, we're going to go ahead and start building out again. Now, it's very important, the building blocks that you're using for these spawning platforms, don't use something like glass or any other non-spawnable block. And to be honest, most blocks count as spawnable blocks inside of Minecraft, but weirder ones, like sometimes staircases and pistons, yeah, those aren't really going to probably work. Anyways, at this step in the build today, I'm beginning to add the 2nd layer of this mob farm. To add the 2nd layer of this mob farm, take the walls and build them 3 more blocks higher. After you finish pulling your walls up 3 more blocks, do the same thing that we just did a second ago with the spawning platforms. Move to the inside and build them. This new layer of spawning platforms should now float 2 blocks directly above the previous layer of platforms. After you get your 9 platforms in, it's time for 72 more trapdoors. Place them in on the side of every single block, then flip them open and keep placing more. Even more trapdoors later, all opened up, and now it's time to do it one more time for today's build. Theoretically, the more platforms, the more layers that you add to this thing, the better the rates will be. To be completely honest with you, I don't really recommend building less than 3 layers, but technically, if you're tight on materials, maybe early game, you just want a small mob farm, you could set up 1 layer of this farm. Another nice thing about this farm is because of how it's designed and set up, you could always come back later on and actually add more layers to it. Because this design just stacks layers on layers on layers, it actually won't be too difficult or dangerous to come back later on once you have more blocks and add 2 more layers to the top. So a tiny bit of hoppers, trapdoors, fence gates, and a whole lot of building blocks later, now we have a 3-layered mob farm that looks something like this right here. Next up, before we do anything to these spawning layers, we're going to move down to the bottom of this farm and place a single water source in every single corner. With a water source placed in every single corner, once you get these sources in, the water should flow perfectly all the way to the middle. If it doesn't, you have something wrong somewhere. Now moving up to these layers right here. In my opinion, one of the best things you could do to this farm is place a single carpet in the middle of every single platform. By placing a single carpet in the middle of every platform, you're going to cut out spiders from this farm. Now, of course, by cutting out spiders from this farm, that's going to be no spider eye, no string. However, spiders, I find they kind of tend to clog this farm up. They move down to the middle and then start to climb on the walls and everything, and it's really, really annoying. But that does mean if you're okay with spiders clogging up the farm a little bit, or you just need string or something, skip the carpet here and leave the spawning platforms looking something like this. Now gunpowder, creepers, this stuff is really, really useful. If you're looking for a creeper farm, technically speaking, you could make this a creeper farm. To customize this farm into a creeper-only farm, start by placing carpets in the middle of every single spawning platform. Then come in and on the ceiling of every single platform, place even more trapdoors. You see, check this out. A creeper is actually a little bit shorter than the zombie. You see, the zombie sticks its head all the way into the trapdoors. If I have trapdoors there, the zombie won't ever spawn. The trapdoors being right here, though, they're definitely going to let creepers spawn. So carpets in the middle, they cut out spiders. Trapdoors on the top, they make only creepers spawn. Now, the beautiful thing about this farm is, again, the customizability. Let's say you want, like, a lot of creepers from this farm, but not only creepers. Well, then, technically, you could make, like, one layer solidly only for creepers. The other layers, you could leave the trapdoors out and let, like, skeletons, zombies, and other things spawn on them. For me today, when I showed you the materials, I showed you how to set it up when it's not customized for creepers only, and when it is customized for no spiders at all. So anyways, water sources in the corners, carpets in the middle of every single layer. It's time to finish up this farm. To finish up the farm, go to the walls and build 2 more blocks higher. Build the walls all the way around the farm. Now, after you've extended your walls 2 final blocks up with the blocks that will not let any light through, build 1 more temporary block up, branch off into the middle, remove the temporary block, and fill a full ceiling in above this entire farm. Now, you need to be careful, because as you begin to fill this ceiling in, the mob farm will get really, really dark. As long as you stay close to this thing, mobs shouldn't spawn inside of it if you build 3 layers. Look, just keep it in mind that as soon as you make this mob farm dark and you move far enough away from this thing, it will begin to work. Back down to the bottom of this farm, to actually use this thing though, there's a couple more things we need to set up. Down here, originally, we built solid blocks right here. To use the farm, you're going to want to replace this first layer of blocks with half slabs. To enjoyably and comfortably use your farm, it's a great idea to extend this platform down here. This is going to be the platform where you AFK to actually make the farm run. You definitely don't have to make this platform very big at all, but you could totally make it a little bit bigger and add like a small base to it. Enchantment setup, maybe small gear setup, storage, I don't know, something like that. If you're planning on AFKing on this platform overnight though, definitely don't forget light sources, especially if you make it a little bit bigger. And probably same thing for the top of the mob farm too. If you want no spawns to happen on top of your mob farm, place a couple torches up here. With a couple torches strategically placed on the top, you won't have to worry about spawns anywhere outside of this farm. Now, using this farm is insanely easy. To use it, all you need to do is have a sword, walk over to the side, and swing at the mobs. Most of the mobs should be brought down to 1 health, depending on what armor they may or may not be wearing. Walk around the mob farm, swing your sword, hopefully you got looting 3, and just rake into profits. It's literally that easy. You want music discs from this farm? Well, no big deal. It's so easy to. First up, move around the side and double up the slabs. Double up the slabs until you have something that looks like this. Then wait for a skeleton and some creepers to spawn. From the inside of the farm, jump a little bit, have the skeleton shoot at the creepers. When the skeletons take out the creepers, which should be like 1 shot or something, you're gonna get music discs. That easy. Another great thing you can do to make this farm a little bit better is place carpets on top of the hoppers. Without carpet on top of the hoppers, it is possible for experience to drop down into the hoppers and get stuck. It's a little bit annoying. If you would like to automate this farm, instead of carpets, place campfires all over the floor. By placing campfires all over the floor on every single spot, when a mob falls down into this thing, it'll immediately begin burning up. But the campfires won't cause any fire spread or anything like that. The hoppers will still pick up all the drops clean through the campfires. And so laddies, lads, everybody, that's just about it for your Minecraft 1.20 plus mob farm. Oh, and also kind of forgot to say, but because of how mob spawning works, you can totally get witches from this farm too. That'll up the amazing drops even more. Anyways, if the tutorial helped you out, if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a quick like. It'll help me out big time. Subscribe for more. You got any questions on the design? Drop them down in the comments below or over on the subreddit r/waddles. This is an amazing place. For even more beautiful Minecraft farms, check out my tutorial playlist. A lot of these other wonderful ones I've shown off before. They work on Minecraft, Java, and Bedrock as well. It's been me, Waddles. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.